Time is a four-letter word with no current ending. So while we're on this timeline, it's our job to ensure it's ascending. Positive over negative, and love over hate. Our primary goal is to continuously make our society great. So in a world where division reigns supreme and egotism is praised, I'm going to tell you how much your actions matter and how your impact will leave this world amazed. Starting now. Hey yo! What's goody, everybody? Today's topic: the importance of time. Time is endless, it never goes backwards, and this thing never stops. So before we come to our end, let's identify what matters so we don't lose sight of what we got. Today's focus is the essence of time and what's important. So now that we're live, let's dive. Point number one, time. Time. A word that's so short but yet limitless. Past, present, future. History current succeed. Regardless of where we lie, there is always planted a seed. We grow, we change, we advance and evolve. Continuously progressing, we strengthen our resolve. The world changes, our environment changes, and so do our morals. But unfortunately, the one thing that doesn't is our pointless quarrels. Our greed, our wars, our politics, and our religions. With an inability to converse, our hatred spawns more division. And this applies on an individual scale too, because our egos and our selfishness are the traits that subdue. Arguments, taunting, or taking competitiveness too far, so focused on getting our way, we've lost track of what's important from the start. That's relationships, serenity, love, and conversations, because unlike our quarrels, those words transcend generations. So as time continues to flow and we operate inside it, in point number two, we go over what's important and how to divide it. Point number two, what matters? So, what matters? What's the main objective? Is the goal unity or our own perspective? One is rooted in ourselves, while the other resides from the cross. So since we're the translators, we get to dictate what comes across. On the timeline of life, we're merely a speckle in its existence, and while we may appear small, our actions can impact this distance. When it comes to ego, this one is for us to decide. We can either be arrogant or humble with our pride. When we're arrogant, we're self-absorbed in our actions. Focused on personal success, they'll do anything for satisfaction. In sports, it's stat hunting, and for work, it's accolades and promotions. Instead of something else being better for the team, they'll perceive it as bogus. After all, it's a mentality of, this is all about me. Meanwhile, this person prefers the success of the team. It's not about the points, and it's not about the awards. Instead, they'll say, what can I do to improve the team even more? Defense, rebounds, playing scrappier, passing the ball. This creates a mentality of selflessness that applies to all. All because they understand this is greater than me. So instead of just two letters, they focus on all four in team. Next are difficult conversations, the ones many call taboo, because if we know their true beliefs, we would see them in a different view. Religion, abortion, politics, or sex, if they don't agree, they'll get upset. They'll catch you to the side if you don't agree with their view. After all, if I don't agree, I can't associate with you. Instead of talking, they'll argue for why you need to agree. Instead, this person is willing to have a conversation even if they disagree. By using reasoning and logic, their emotions are suppressed. And if they don't agree, neither party is stressed. This person understands we all have different upbringings, so we're bound to have different views. So instead of wanting to win, we share our perspectives to get closer to the truth. So then lastly, our relationships. They're a major factor in time. Over time, relationships are inevitable. They're either created, mended, or broken. If you always put yourself first, the last option will always be the one chosen. After all, their egos first, so they value themselves over others. And if you don't agree with them, they'll sever you quickly from their sisters and brothers. A sad outcome of loneliness is created. Now going through life on edge, their happiness is negated. Now this person over here knows what the outcome could be. So they keep an open mind instead of it being only me. Relationships go both ways. A trust is created on both ends. Being aware of the bridge, They value the importance of a friend. And at the end of the day, we don't have to agree. We just need to be honest and respectful when it comes to anything. So now that we've broken down what truly matters most, in point number 3, we go over the goal at the end of the post. Point number 3, impact. Our timeline, regardless of where we lie, interacts with so many others. So even though we're just a blip, we can have an impact on another. Gandhi, MLK, George Washington, and Lincoln, all of them from different generations, but have a clear distinction. Leaders amongst men with a resounding effect on their generation. Their accomplishments are so great, they're spoken about in every nation. Men of such stature, such prominence, and large reputation, if they envision themselves as just a blip, they wouldn't even be a figment of our imagination. So while we're on this timeline, let's make an impact, because while we're existent, we want love to be intact. So first is humility. Just like the people I mentioned before, their mission was never about them. It's always about the masses, because if they only cared about themselves, their reputation would be equivalent to ashes. So as discussed before, let's switch our mentality of the team, because it should never only be about you. It's about everybody we see. Next is how we converse and tackle difficult topics. All the people mentioned before are pioneers because they never shied away from the issues at hand. Even when confronted by the masses, they never shied away from reprimand, imprisonment, war, death threats, or racial abuse. Despite the onslaught of attacks, they knew they couldn't refuse. So in our lives, where our lives aren't at stake, there's absolutely no reason why taboos turn to heated debates. So talk, converse, be respectful, and be receptive. Because it doesn't matter if it's about sports, race, or politics, we should understand each other's perspectives. So lastly, our relationships. We can't do this alone. All those men mentioned before have support, because it's impossible to be effective if you only have one member in your force. Lincoln had Frederick Douglass and MLK had Lyndon B. Johnson. Although they saw things differently, their open minds came to a decision that was honest. Dialogue, debates, and open conversations. Although they were difficult, it's possible on any reservation. So don't be afraid to interact with those we don't look like, because it's time we start breaking down barriers to begin to think alike. After all, relationships aren't designed to only be with your same kind. So let's get back to the original one, the one we call mankind. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, please feel free to check out the channel and subscribe, because there's more in store. For one witness to another, you are special. Hook out.